The new DLC for guiltygearstrive Robo-Ky is finally out, and in this video I'm going to give you 5 things that you must know about the character to understand his playstyle, so that after watching this video you can jump into the game and have a ton of fun, and ideally kind of like, have a decent idea of how the character plays. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about when it comes to Robo-Ky and his moveset is understanding his unique mechanic that is called electric gauge. If you take a look at the bottom left side of the screen, you're going to see a specific resource bar that right now is at 0 and has 1 Tangerine, but Robo-Ky can charge this bar and then enhance some of his special moves, okay? The way in which you can charge the bar is that, for example, if you do down, down, heavy slash, he puts a carpet that charges the electric gauge. You can also charge it by doing quarter circle back slash and combos, or neutral skipping in the game, but it only works on hit, okay? This does not charge the bar on block, only if you actually hit the opponent, but it's really good because if you have 0, this gives you 30, and then if you also have a little bit of the electric gauge, it uses it to make it a very special move and then gives you back a ton more. And then the other move that you can use to charge the electric gauge is going to be quarter circle back kick, which is a command grab. Those are the 3 special moves that you can use to enhance other attacks that Robo-Ky has by, charging the electric gauge. So again, down, down, heavy slash, quarter circle back slash, and then quarter circle back kick. And then the moves that actually get enhanced if Robo-Ky has electric gauge are his fireball, that is quarter circle forward slash, also his unique movement option that is also quarter circle forward but with heavy slash, and then also his quarter circle back heavy slash, which is kind of like essentially a combo tool and also works on pressure if you have enough resource because it becomes plus on block, okay? So if you go ahead and just give him the entire, electric gauge to showcase the enhanced versions of the moves, you have, for example, from a really bad fireball into a multi-hit tracking fireball. Then you also have a combo fodder move like this that gives you, a specific kind of like jungle if you have the resource. And also, it is, like I said before, plus on block. Look at this. Boom. And it is +6, if I'm not mistaken. Really, really strong. And then you also have this, which becomes, faster, travels forward much, much faster, and also covers a bigger space of the screen. You have either the enhanced versions when you have like the entire resource bar at 103 Tangerines, or also when you have only 1 or 2. So there's 3 different versions of essentially, the enhanced versions of the different moves. So let's say you only have, for example, 27, whatever, right? That means that you have 2 Tangerines, and if you have 2, you have the first enhanced version of the special move. Then at 0, it goes back to the regular one with no power-up. The same for all the moves that use, the electric gauge. So you gotta take into account this kind of like mechanic. It is one of the things that makes Robo-Ky unique, and at the same time revolves around making him stronger over time in the match if you're actually able to consistently charge the electric gauge. So it's gonna be really relevant for you to understand everything that I explained here, like the moves that can help you to charge it, and then the moves that get better when you actually have the enhanced versions with the electric gauge. So just don't forget about this over time and try to master, the unique mechanic that the electric gauge is for Robo-Ky, because it's gonna be important to kind of like optimize his game plan. Now for point number 2 of the guide, let's talk about Robo-Ky's neutral and specifically how he plays when he's on the ground, okay? First, I would say that he has pretty good normals, like his, for example, stand slash and stand heavy slash have a lot of range, really, really good, but then they have a lot of recovery on whiff. So you do need to be careful on how to use these normals, because you need to kind of like understand the perfect tip of the range so that you never whiff them, because they're not special cancelable on whiff and they have a lot of recovery frames. But the kind of like reward that you can get from these buttons is actually pretty good. Like if you have, for example, just 50 meter to roam and cancel 1 time, you can get something like this. Does a lot of damage just for 50 meter, and you essentially got this from your, far slash, which has pretty decent range. So when it comes to normals, Robo-Ky has really good buttons, but you gotta be, careful on how to use them because they are pretty minus on whiff. Then we have a couple of special moves that are gonna be also kind of like the bread and butter of Robo-Ky's neutral. The first one, of course, is his fireball, which is quarter circle forward slash. And the thing about this fireball is that even though when you don't have any electric gauge, it can be kind of bad because it doesn't cover that much space on the screen. You still have access to a fireball, so you shouldn't forget it even if you don't have any electric gauge at all. And then if you just have 20, it gets pretty good. Like the first upgrade of the fireball, which is just having a regular fireball, is pretty decent because it also travels a bit slow. You can even use it to kind of like cover yourself and then run behind it if you actually throw it from very far away, kind of like full screen. So I would not sleep, you know, on the fireball when you have only the first enhancement. It is still pretty decent. And then the other move that you're probably going to use in neutral is actually this, okay? But it is mostly kind of like niche. You're not going to be playing the game by using, you know, the quarter circle forward heavy slash unique movement option, unless I would say you have kind of like the version that has all the meter, because that one is pretty fast. I would say that it's hard to react to the one that is fully enhanced, and it covers a much bigger space on the screen. Like if you do this, you can actually kind of like skip the neutral full screen, but it is not something I would say you're going to use all the time. It is a more niche option if you feel like people are not ready for this, you know, for this move in particular, and they're not going to DP or 6P or super or whatever. So it is useful in neutral, but more niche. And then the last special move that you might use in neutral is going to be the quarter circle backslash, because it is a pretty decent neutral skip. Now, it's not, you know, good on block. Like, it is pretty minus, so if you're going to throw this in neutral, you should probably have, you know, meter to Roman cancel to make it safe. But it is a decent option to just cut the space and go in. And if you get a hit, you know, the overall kind of reward can also be relatively decent. So I wouldn't sleep on this, even if it is a bit unsafe, if you have the meter to just actually, you know, Roman cancel it on block. So yeah, that's kind of like the bread and butter of Robo-Ky's, you know, neutral in the ground. Just big normals, but don't whiff them because they're really minus on whiff. And if people block them, you can special cancel them into fireball, for example, or stuff like that. Then also you have your fireball, you have your neutral skip, if you actually have resource to make it safe. And then you have your weird movement option. If you actually want to surprise people and they're not ready for this, you can actually use it to go in. Hey, just in case that until now you find the content useful or actually it helps you to understand the character that we're talking about, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to support the channel, especially if you enjoy content around fighting games. Thank you, and let's continue. So now let's move into the third point in the guide, and it's also about neutral with Robo-Ky, but specifically in the air, because this character has so many good options to play in the air. It's kind of crazy. They're really strong. So the first thing are the normals. If you do your jumping normals, like for example jump slash or jump heavy slash, they're really strong. They have a ton of range. Jump slash, for example, is multi-hit, so it's really easy to confirm into a combo or just run your pressure when people block it. And then your jump heavy slash is also a really ambiguous command grab. It's not only that it has, you know, good range and you can use it almost like a poke in the air, but also that you can cross up people with this, and it is relatively easy to get the cross up, super ambiguous like up close, and if you do it really late, you can actually get combos from this, and the reward from hitting the cross up is pretty big. I'm using all the meter to just showcase, you know, a high damage combo, but if I don't use any meter, I can still get 50% damage without any trouble. So it is one of the strongest things about Robo-Ky, I would argue, to just jump with this crazy normals that he has. They're really good. Of course, you cannot just spam the jumps if people are actually, you know, good at anti-airing you and things like that, but they are really strong tools. And then also, Robo-Ky in the air has his fireball, because he can do the fireball when he's in the air, not only grounded. Of course, the enhanced version is crazy, like having a multi-hit tracking fireball in the air, and then you just run behind it. It is really, really strong. Then when you have kind of like the only first enhancement, when it's a one projectile, it is still really good because it travels slow. So you can still use it to run behind it and then run your pressure if they block it and stuff like that. So just having the fireball in the air is really, really strong. We all know how in 2D fighters, you know, having an air fireball can be really, really good. And I think that in the case of Robo-Ky, even when you have the bad fireball, it can still be quite strong. And then the last thing is that he has this, okay, which is Jump Dust. And this move does have a lot of recovery, and it is not necessarily the fastest, but it is really big, okay? You can kind of like use this just to cover space, and unless people are really aware of it and they run under you and then punish you, this is a pretty good, like, just, you know, use the space button, like kind of like, you know, put something on the screen and just press. And I think that it's gonna be one of the normals that people are gonna sleep on the most, but to me, it seems better than what I think a lot of other people are going to judge it for. So do not sleep on Jump Dust as well. It is pretty decent. And then finally, he has also the movement option, right? The quarter circle forward heavy slash. He can also do it in the air. So this character is just, I feel like it's going to be a nightmare to play against a Robo-Ky that is really, really tricky in the air with his options and kind of like the decision making of how he uses the electric gauge, the enhanced special moves in the air, also the crazy jump in normals. Like, Robo-Ky in the air to me is arguably a better character than when he's grounded. So I really wanted to talk about this separately and showcase all the stuff that he can do when he's in the air. Now for point number 4, let's actually talk about offense and pressure. How exactly do you open people up on defense with Robo-Ky? The first thing is just using closest slash, because this is a plus on block normal. I think it's the only plus on block normal that the character has. It's obviously only +1, but with that you can still run your offense without any trouble. If people match you, just then, for example, press your jabs and things like that after the close slash. If people are respecting you, you can loop it and do, for example, like a close slash into a small dash and then press it again, cancel the dash essentially into another close slash, which is pretty good. The risk gauge goes up and it becomes a problem for the opponent. So do not sleep on this button. It is arguably your best normal to run your offense. Then you also have a command grab, okay, which is quarter circle back kick. And if people are really respecting you on pressure and on plus frames on wake up, then you can do your command grab. You can also cancel it into a full combo and stuff like that, which is pretty good. So it is good to just have the command grab. It's not necessarily the best because it has almost no range, okay? This command grab, you need to do it really close, but you still have it. And having a command grab is always good to open people up, so do not sleep on it. Then, another thing that you need to use when you have electric gauge specifically is your quarter circle back heavy slash. This is +6 on block. Like, this is arguably the best move for pressure in Robo-Ky's moveset, but you do need to have electric gauge. When you don't have it, it's just a normal move. It is -6. It does have pushback, which is pretty good, and you can do something, you know, like close slash, down heavy slash, and then quarter circle back heavy slash, and you're -6, but really well spaced from the opponent, so it's not really a problem. But if you have the meter, you should be using quarter circle back heavy slash on pressure. It is really strong, you know, gives you chip damage, just gives you another turn as well. Super good. So electric gauge equals using quarter circle back heavy slash on pressure. And then finally, when you take, you know, all of this into account, you also need to start throwing people on offense. Like, at the end of the day, a lot of characters in Strive run the strike, you know, throw offense really good. And Robo-Ky is going to be a part of that category since he has, you know, good plus frames, good normals that give him opportunity to kind of like loop the offense, and also this, right? Like the quarter circle back heavy slash. So if people are respecting you on defense and you think that you can throw them, you have the opportunity, do it, okay? Just run the throw and don't be scared to do it if you believe that you have an opportunity to do so. And then finally, since this character, of course, is also a strike throw character, or he's gonna have an offense that is good when you put throws into the mix, I also want to talk about shimmies, because this character has pretty good opportunity to shimmy people on wake up, because he has this, right? This move that you can use, and then also specifically he has his forward heavy slash, and this move actually makes Robo-Ky jump. And if you're playing your offense and you know that the other guy is gonna take the throw, right? He's gonna wake up, for example, and take the throw. You can do this, and if you have the meter, you can do a full combo out of this, which is pretty decent, almost 50% damage. So it's going to be kind of like an automatic or out-of-time opportunity to do shimmies if you think that the opponent is gonna take the throw, to just do your forward heavy slash button. Of course, it is worse, arguably, if you don't have the meter, because when you actually get this counter hit, you do not have any sort of follow-up that I know about. Like, the character just get a hard knockdown, right? Like, you just get the forward heavy slash counter hit, and then they're on the ground, and there's no way to follow it up unless you have the meter. So important to know that if you don't have meter and you want to do a shimmy, maybe just do a backdash or whatever, instead of doing this kind of like out-of-time setup in which you do the forward heavy slash. But it's still really strong, and I wanted to mention it because you're probably going to throw people a lot with this character, or even command grab them a lot. So it's good to have something to stop them from, you know, grabbing you on wake up, either to take the throw that you're going to do, or just to stop your offense. And then the last two things that I wanted to add when it comes to running your pressure offense and a little bit of more mix-up. Number one is to integrate using this in your pressure, okay? Your quarter circle forward heavy slash. Because, for example, you can do like your close slash up close, which is plus, and then you cancel it into this and get an opportunity to do an overhead that maybe people are not gonna be ready for example. So it is not the worst idea to use this, especially if you have resources so that it is faster and things like that. So do not sleep on using, you know, the quarter circle forward heavy slash if you have the resources to do so and you think that you're gonna cut people off when you do it. And then the final thing is not sleeping on dust, because this character, you know, the animation for the dust, I feel like not that many people are gonna be ready for it, especially in the first weeks for the character, since it doesn't look necessarily automatically like an overhead, except for all, you know, the animation effects that all the dust normals have in this game. And the thing is, that even if you do a really simple combo, you can get pretty good damage from dust, like it happens with many other characters in this game, right? Let me actually get it. You know, you get 50% right there. I'm just doing a heavy slash, dust, dash, heavy slash, dust, heavy slash, heavy slash. So very, very easy combo, and it does a ton of damage. And I really doubt that people are going to be blocking this day 1 or week 1 or whatever. So do not sleep on it. And that's kind of like, you know, the entire idea of how to run your offensive pressure, at least on the first couple of weeks of this character, that I would say is going to be pretty strong. And then for the last point in the guide, I just wanted to talk a little bit about combo routing, because the combos of this character can change a lot depending on if you have electric gauge or not. So first, if you don't have any electric gauge, you can either do stuff like, for example, a slash, heavy slash, quarter cycle back slash, and then Roman cancel, and then you're going to have some electric gauge to use the quarter cycle back heavy slash extension, because when you don't have any electric gauge, this move doesn't really work on combos, so you do need to have a little bit of it to do it. And since this move, quarter cycle back slash, gives you the electric gauge, you can use it in the combo at the start if you don't have any gauge, and then you're gonna have gauge to extend it by the end with the quarter cycle back heavy slash. So that's kind of like the basic, I would say, combo theory of the character. You know, no gauge, you gotta do this in your combo. If you have some gauge, then you can do this, you know, as the first kind of like extension of the combo routing. The other option that you have to do combos if you don't have any electric gauge is to actually use down heavy slash in your combo routing, okay? This is kind of like an anti-air normal that Robo-Ky has, but it is pretty slow. But the thing is that if you use it on combos, it does create a jungle opportunity without needing electric gauge. And for example, you can do close slash, down heavy slash, and then pick people up again with your close slash, and do just a normal kind of like Gatling sequence into then the other extension, because you're going to have a little bit of electric gauge thanks to the inclusion of the quarter cycle back slash in the combo. So that is the most simple kind of like combo routing that you can use when you don't have any meter in the electric gauge with this character and you don't know what to do. Essentially, just do the quarter cycle back slash, you know, special move at some point to get a little bit of the electric gauge and get an extension then after if you have a meter to Roman cancel. That's the most basic routing that you can do with Robo-Ky without electric gauge. But now the thing about Robo-Ky's combos is that if you have electric gauge and you can actually do your quarter cycle back heavy slash at the start of the combo instead of needing to Roman cancel after doing something like quarter cycle back slash, then the combos get much crazier. You can even loop, for example, a sequence in which you do low slash, down heavy slash, and then quarter cycle back heavy slash, and get like 50% damage with no resources whatsoever, thanks to having the actual resource that is unique to the character. And it can do a ton of damage. It's not necessarily that hard to do, and you get a wall break and everything, right? But this is only when you have the meter in the electric gauge. So there is going to be a lot of combo experimentation and kind of like adaptation when you either have the meter or not, because it changes the entire sequence of the combo routing. But it is important to just have maybe a couple of these so that you can use your meter in the most efficient way over time, but you don't need to do the craziest combos at the start. That is not the most important thing to learn how to play a character, but I just wanted to still talk about this so that you're aware that you have the opportunity to do other style of combo routing when you have, you know, the specific resource of the electric gauge. You can also do supers, so it creates a unique juggle situation and more. So I just wanted to talk about it, even if it is not the most important thing. Oh, and then the last thing I almost forgot, but Robo-Ky also has a super that is an install, which is a quarter cycle back forward into slash. And if you have the electric gauge, you just get like all the enhanced moves right away. It is kind of like, you know, a specific way to use the electric gauge and maximize it, and then by the end you explode. So that is kind of like another unique mechanic of the character, and the reason why I want to talk about it here instead of at the start is because I think that most people are going to use it for combos, because you can extend combos thanks to this on unique ways, and it makes, you know, do more damage. I whiffed there, but you can actually get really big combo routes and a lot of damage thanks to this. I'm just doing a very easy combo. I'm not trying to, you know, optimize it too crazy, but you get the idea that essentially you can special cancel into the install super and do unique special combos. And this also, just like the combos, is not the most important thing about the character. I'm just trying to showcase it so you understand that it's there, but you don't need to be doing, you know, this crazy combo routing or whatever at the start. Like, it's not necessary, you don't need it, but still, just so you know that the install super is there. and that you actually explode. So that was the guide for Robo-Ky. The character seems really fun and unique, so I'm probably going to put some time into playing him on guiltygearstrive, and I encourage you to do the same. And if the guide, help you or you think that it's useful, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel, especially if you like content about other fighting games as well. Thank you for watching. Again, I hope that the guide actually helped you, and see you on the next one. Take care.